Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today is Tuesday, September 17th, 2 days after the USAT National Championships in Atlantic City, New Jersey. In this video, we'll have a post-race review as well as a breakdown of swim, bike, run, and talk about just my overall experience down there over the weekend. So with that said, let's jump right in. This race for me was unlike any race I'd ever participated in for a few reasons. One, I got the qualification email just 2 weeks before race day, which is weird. Two, it was also the first season in 7 years that I wasn't training for a race. I felt that after Ironman Atlantic City last year, while I finished, I was not in great shape. My fitness just was nowhere where I wanted to be. I was also the heaviest I'd ever been in my life, and fitness was just not trending in the right direction, despite crossing the finish line. So my plan for this year was to not focus on a race, but focus more on strength training and running, which are two of my weak spots year after year in training. So that was my intent. But when you get an email, an invitation to something like this, especially when the race is only 45 minutes away from your house, you kind of got to suck it up, jump on it, and figure out how you're going to do it. So I was able to throw together a 2-week training plan and make it happen. And I'm happy, and I'm happy that I did. I feel like I made the right choice. The race is a little bit different than my experience last year at the same location. I thought everything was just going to be exactly like Ironman, the course, but just a little bit shorter, but it wasn't. The overall vibe felt a little different. I mean, for me, Ironman feels like a party. Everybody trains really hard to get there. It's all levels, all types of people, all different types of backgrounds, but they're all training for the same thing and all accomplishing the same thing. So it's very celebratory, very positive, very exciting. It feels like a big party. Nationals, you have to qualify for. So you're out there competing with the best of the best. They know that they are there for a reason. They've already done a ton of races. They've qualified. They're there to win. I do not put myself in that category at all, but that should just be assumed. So the overall vibe just felt way more serious, way more professional. That's not a bad thing. It was just a little bit different than an Ironman race from my perspective, but it was still cool. The courses were a little bit different. Let's start with the swim course. Last year for Ironman, you start by your pace in the water. And what I mean is, let's say you plan on swimming the 30 minutes for your swim portion of the race. There's someone holding up a sign that says 30 minutes, and you line up with everybody else in that time. And then when the gun goes off, 4 people at a time jump in the water and start the race. It's good because it gives you some space between the people in front of you and the people behind you. You're not really swimming on top of people and banging into everybody. That's nice. But for nationals, when the attendance and the athletes are like double the Ironman race, if you did 4 at a time, you'd be there all day. So what they did for this race, and I didn't know until I got there, is it was going to be a mass in water start. And that freaked me out. And what that means is, as opposed to swimming by your pace, you're going to swim by your age group. Mine is 45 to 49, which means that at 8:30, when my wave went off, which was 2 hours after the start of the race, I had to find my 45 to 49 group. Ironically, we were wearing silver swim caps, so it was pretty easy to find us. Just look for the color of our hair. We all stood in a group, and the wave right in front of us, they went out into the water. And for this, you actually had to swim 200 yards out to the starting line. Last year for Ironman, the starting line was just at the edge of the shore. You just jumped right in, boom, that was the start of your race. Not so much for this. So the wave in front of you would go, they'd be bobbing and treading water at the starting line. Once they went off, then your group got into the water, swam out the 200 yards, treaded water, bobbed up and down, waited 4 minutes, and then you went off. It was a little weird, but everybody in the water was cool, high-fiving each other, asking people where they're from. It was pretty cool group of guys. Right up until the siren went off. And then all those nice guys became intense athletes. And within the first 10 feet, I was getting elbowed and kicked and punched and slapped and dunked because you got 60 people all taking off at the same exact time, trying to swim and fight for position into this little tiny channel, this little area. Well, about 20 yards later, I took my first real good kick to the face that I've ever had in a race, which I guess after 7 years of racing is pretty good odds, right? And the guy hit me right here and flung my head back, and it was not good. It hurt pretty bad. And it sent my anxiety through the roof. I tried to gain my composure. I did for a little bit and kept going. Now, at the start of these races, at the start of these swim races, there's usually one of two options you can try to take in terms of a strategy. One, hang in the back of the pack and let everybody else go. This way you're not caught up in like that washing machine feel of getting pushed and kicked and slapped and all that stuff. The disadvantage of that is that if you do start to swim a little faster, you're gonna hit a traffic jam and you're gonna start catching up to people and grabbing people's feet, and you're gonna have to stop and kind of find a good way to go. Option one. Option two, put yourself out in the front of the group and hopefully swim fast and hard. And when that gun goes off, you take it out and get in front of everybody. The disadvantage of that is, it takes a lot of energy out of you. So when the gun went off, I still hadn't made up my mind of what strategy I was gonna take. I'm not proud of that, but my body and my brain made a decision for me, and I decided to take it out hard and fast. It worked for a little while until it didn't, if I'm being honest. I got to the turn, which is about 300 meters out. I made a turn. I had been swimming way harder than I should have been. My anxiety was already up from getting kicked in the face. My sighting wasn't that great, meaning I wasn't really swimming straight. I tend to drift to the right in open water anyway. And I made that turn and I started to have negative thoughts in my head. Not good ones. I thought about having a medical emergency in the water. I thought about swimming directly to the shore and getting in the car and driving home. I thought about DNF, which means do not finish. All these negative thoughts, they came on pretty quick and pretty hard. So my typical strategy when that happens is to slow my stroke down, stretch real far, try to slow my breathing down, and luckily it worked. It worked for about 50 yards. I found a nice clearing in the water and I was able to swim through it and find an opening. And then I opened it up and swam pretty hard and fast to the finish line of the swim portion, to the swim exit. I was able to hold 130 for the 100, 130 per 100, which for me was about 20 seconds faster 100 than I planned on swimming. I attribute that to salt water for buoyancy, wetsuit, and just adrenaline, if I'm being honest, just to turn that speed up and just go to get out of the water. Happy that I did. Overall, pretty good experience. Transition wasn't that bad. Got in and out pretty quick. Got on the bike, took off. The wind was brutal that day. On the way out, it actually gave me an extra mile per hour. So I was able to hold 21 miles an hour on the way out. Way more than I thought I was going to be able to do, considering I hadn't been on my bike in 1 year since the Ironman last year. As I said, wasn't training for it. Made the turn on the way back. The same wind that helped me on the way out was punching me in the face on the way back, and 21 miles an hour dropped to 16 and a half. Not good. And my legs were gassed. I was tired on the way back, and the wind was just throwing me all over the place. Also on the bike on the way back, I saw, luckily I didn't see it happen, but I was able to see there was an accident. I'd never seen that in person in a course before. There was 2 ambulances, the traffic on the expressway was shut down, and that gets in your head. So I went from having this thing in my head in the water, now I'm freaked out on the bike course seeing that. So you just kind of say a quiet prayer, a silent prayer to yourself that the person is okay. You hope for the best and you keep going because you have to finish. And I was able to finish. Biking on the expressway, I don't love it. There's times I'm nervous in a car on the expressway, let alone being in a bike. But the organizers do a great job. They have cones the whole way. So you feel as safe as you can and you just hope for the best. Anyway, getting to T2 with a second transition, now you're going from bike to run. Did it pretty quick, I was happy with it. I was able to take a nice slug of water before I took off. I put my Morton gel in my suit and took off. When I did that, I didn't realize that I put the gel in and I missed the pocket. So when I unzipped it later, it wasn't there. It just must have fallen on the ground and I didn't realize it. So I didn't get to have that little sugar hit from the gel that I typically like to have, but that's okay. They had Gatorade and water on the course. I was able to do that. I looked down at my watch and I was holding 8:10 per mile, which for me is way faster than I thought I'd be able to handle. And that happiness lasted about 20 seconds because my shin splints, which I haven't had for 6 months, decided to show up that day right then. And unfortunately, it lasted until the very end of the race. So 8:10 became 8:20, became 8:30, became 8:40, and my legs just didn't have it. And I slowed down a lot more than I wanted to and was in pretty good leg pain until the end of the race. But was able to finish. Was it the fastest I could have gone? No. I mean, I missed a 5K PR. Unfortunately, it happens. Considering I had no training, as I said, I wasn't prepared for this race at all. I'm pretty happy with what I was able to do and could only help but thinking, man, if I actually had some training going into this, what I could have done. But hey, you live and learn. You hopefully come back stronger for next year. So overall, phenomenal race experience. And I hope this helped a little bit. If you're thinking about doing a race down there, you definitely should. And that's it. So click like, click subscribe, because we're going to keep these videos going. And I hope you enjoyed this, and see you out there on the race course.